Hey, this is the good Dr. Glenn Livingston, and I am here with the very good Terry Dean. How are you, Terry?
I am doing excellent today.
I'm doing excellent too, and I'm really looking forward to going through this with you because this is the beginning of our growth acceleration system education. Show people how to turn their passion for marketing business into a lucrative, rewarding, and fun career. And essentially, we're going to be talking to people who are marketing and business junkies and show them how they can help other businesses for a living with proven systems, show them how to get clients, show them how to find their business niche, and most importantly, create the financial rewards to make the whole thing work. Does that sound right?
Yep, that's what we're doing here. Who this is really for, this isn't for everyone. This is specifically for those who love marketing and business. Okay, just like Glenn just said, you're a marketing junkie. And it's always kind of funny. I've helped a lot of different clients in different niches, both on and off the internet. We always ask them a question like, when we start trying to find their niche, what are you passionate about? What are you excited about? And there's always a portion of my clients that I've dealt with that come back with the answer, well, I'm really passionate about business. I'm passionate about marketing, and this is what I get most excited about. And both you and I fit into that category also, Glenn, that we get most excited about business and marketing itself, the systems that we use in place, and really building businesses. That's the part that we love.
Besides the fact that business itself, I really find probably the most exciting, there's another aspect of it which makes it very valuable. And there's probably about 12 pieces to any given pipeline, right? Any given marketing pipeline. There's the research and the branding and the web development and the copywriting and persuasion and Golden Glove, which we'll talk about today. And then there's managing the people and the infrastructure, and there's managing the capital and taking the risks, and probably about a dozen pieces to really put a business together and make it start making money. What's exciting for me is that from the outside, I can really see with great clarity what's wrong with any given existing funnel, what needs to happen, and I don't have to pause so much to think about, I'm going to have to do all 12 of those things, right? I can really focus the full fortitude of my intellect and my passion and my excitement on the big picture and trying to put it all together. Because of that, I can see things that other people can't see and get results immediately for businesses. Whereas if I were to start a whole new business, I'd be talking about all that time to do the research and all that time to write the advertising. And there's a lot more excitement about the leverage point. You can have a 10-minute phone call with someone sometimes and bump their business by 20 or 30% and kind of feel like a superhero. And you can get paid for that, right? Clients that were apprehensive about paying your fee, when you look at their existing business and everything they're doing and you see that leverage point, all of a sudden you're really worth your salt in the first consultation. So that's what's exciting about it for me. Does that correspond with anything that you think about?
Definitely is. It's the fact that over the years we've put together systems and we can, just like you said, look at a business very quickly and see a leverage point to increase their profits. And a second aspect for me really comes in the fact that I'm always curious about people and businesses, and that serves me in doing business coaching because I can look at the business and I ask the questions. Because that's what a lot of people miss is business coaching. It's a little bit different than business consulting. It's definitely different than life coaching. But one thing that comes in is you're continually asking questions. And the reason is I'm asking questions of my clients looking for the points that we can increase their profits. And that curious nature of mine fits into this perfectly. And I find that most people who do best as a business coach have that same type of curious nature in them also.
The kind of people that like to solve puzzles, right?
Yep, that's exactly what we're doing. But the nice thing is we already have the systems in place so we know what we're looking for.
Exactly. The other thing that's really cool about coaching as a whole and business coaching in particular is that there's not a very long time to market. You could be up and running quickly because once you've really chosen the group of people that you want to go after and are working with proven systems to get clients, you don't have to invest a lot of money in inventory or a lot of money in research and development because basically you're the product, right? You don't have to pay a franchise fee. You don't have to go rent an office. You can work from anywhere. You can work on Skype or email or in person. The whole world is really an opportunity for you as a client. There are a lot of businesses that say that they're like that, but coaching is probably the fastest and easiest one that I've seen to get into like that.
It's kind of interesting because, again, I've been doing business coaching. Well, I've been online since 1996, but I've been business coaching since 2006. And with the business coaching, the clients that I've worked with and coached with who were starting from scratch, because I've coached both with established businesses and those who were starting from scratch online and they were looking for a business. And part of what led me to want to start talking about business coaching to others and about how you can be a business coach is the fact that the clients I've had who've went from scratch to creating six-figure and higher businesses the fastest have been business coaches in a specific business niche. And we'll talk about that more on a different video about niching your business coach. But it's just interesting that these are the ones we brought to success the fastest. And it's exactly for the reasons that you've just said. It's easy to target a very specific audience. It's low cost to generate the first leads. And because business coaching is a higher ticket service, you don't need a lot of clients to start earning good profits.
There's a return on investment argument that goes along with this sale. It's really easy to dollarize what you're offering. And I think there's probably nothing people will spend money for more easily than the opportunity to make more money. You know, most people know that I also run a life and personal coaching organization. And it's a little tougher. I got to say, there's a lot of soul in what we do. When I work with people who coaches other families who've been through tragedies in the home, and there are people who specialize in helping people over the loss of a loved one or a pet, and people that help others put their marriages back together. There's a lot of soul in that, but it's not that easy to make the return on investment argument. It's not that easy to do that. But with business coaching, the return on investment argument is so clear that you can charge higher fees, and as long as you're good, as long as you're using systems that actually get some quick wins for your clients, there's not really a lot of resistance for people to pay your fees. As a matter of fact, I think some people even start feeling guilty that they're not paying you enough.
That happens at time. They're guilty of not paying you enough. But what's interesting is if you're already working with an established business, and that's who most people should target as a business coach starting out, as you would target established businesses, you're going to find that with the right systems going in, you can often pretty much pay for your fee and more on the very first session you have with them, which at that point in time, it makes it a very easy decision for them to stay with you. And I have clients that come on a month-to-month basis with me, which means they sign up for just 1 month starting out, and they've been with me on that type of deal for 8 years.
You know, Terry, I have the same thing, and both of our systems are routinely sold out. It's very difficult to come and get either of us as a business coach personally. There are waiting lists for months, if not years. I actually haven't opened my business coaching for, oh my God, I think it's 2 years now. People on a waiting list for almost 2 years, maybe more than 2 years, because I just can't do it. I just can't handle the clients.
I mean, when I first started back in 2006, it was about 3 months before I sold out at first because I was coming back into business, and I came back into business without a list or anything else because I had sold my previous business. And it took about 3 months to fill up my coaching practice the first time. But since then, I've had the waiting list. And then specifically for the last 2 times that I took clients, we sold out the spaces in 15 minutes.
It's pretty cool. It really is pretty cool. So, Terry, should we talk a little bit more about who we are for those people that are new to us? And I think probably you should talk about who I am, and I should talk about who you are. Otherwise, my mother's going to call me and say, Glenn, I thought I told you to be modest.
Let's do it real quick, though, because I think most of our audience knows who we are. Basically, Glenn is the $30 million man. Between him and his companies, he sold over $30 million in consulting. And we're talking a lot of the major companies and major brand names that you know, like AT&T and Nextel, and a whole bunch of others that you can see on the page right there, instead of me going through and listing all of them. And in addition to this, when he first started, and when I first met him, he had come online and he had been going to a lot of businesses himself, setting up a lot of businesses, proving his own research systems. And at that time, I think it was 18 plus successful businesses, which would mean higher by now that you've done, Glenn.
I stopped setting up business after business myself, and I just kind of focused on coaching other businesses and developing the coaching academy. But yes, 18 is a good number. I had 18 profitable businesses at one point.
It's a whole lot easier to be a business coach, isn't it, than run that many different businesses?
It really is.
And then before this, you had 1,000 plus clients in your psychology practice, didn't you?
Not all at the same time.
Well, I'm glad about that. You did have like 60 at once.
No, over the course of the years that I worked. I had a 65-person practice at the time that I stopped. And I stopped. We had a financial crisis based upon a big mistake we made just before 9/11. We had a place in New York, and we were overinvested and had a really high nut, and people stopped coming to New York and that kind of thing. And I took a sabbatical, and I wound up never going back because I got kind of swept up in the world of marketing. But yes, I advertised as a marital and family therapist, mostly for couples. And I found that once I helped them resolve the conflicts, a lot of them wanted to keep working with me. And I couldn't, in all fairness, give them a diagnosis. So I would say to them, well, why don't we call this coaching at this point, and we'll switch around the techniques and the focus a little bit and work on more of what you want to accomplish. And yes, there are over 1,000 people that I saw, and there are lots and lots and lots of stories swimming around my head from those years.
You've also overseen a lot of other coaches in your practice, and now you also have the Life Coaching Academy, where you're training hundreds of coaches coming out in both life coaching and now over into business coaching. And throughout this time of both coaching and running your own practice, you've had dozens of coaches who have been working under you.
I have supervised dozens of coaches. That's absolutely true.
Is there anything that I'm missing that we should share with our people that they don't know about you?
Well, you forgot that I'm particularly handsome also.
Well, they can see that by looking at you.
I wish. Mr. Terry Dean was a pizza delivery boy back in 1996. Is that not true, Terry?
That is true. Little Caesars, $8 an hour.
And you also tried to do some door-to-door sales, and I think you had a really terrific sales record when you did that. How many sales did you make?
Well, of satellite dishes, I had a grand total of 0.
That's what I thought. You moved from 1996 and you started working in online marketing, and not only built $1 million business for yourself and sold it in 2004 to quote-unquote retire when you turned 30, but you turned around and became a business coach yourself with the goal of coaching entrepreneurs to earn more, work less, and enjoy life. And I suppose your specialty has been in email copywriting. You've stood up on stage and earned as much as $96,000 with a single email in front of a live audience. People meeting you or hearing from you for the first time might think that you sound a little bit humble or kind of like an all shucks guy, but the truth is, I don't know anybody else, including me, who has supervised more people to a successful online business than Terry Dean. Do you know anybody else who's done more, Terry? I'm talking about personal one-on-one business coaching. I'm not talking about, well, gee, I ran this group of 5,000 people. And
one-on-one, I really don't know if there's anyone who's done as many helping online. But you got to remember, it's not just online that I worked with, and that's something that a lot of people don't know, is I've also attracted from my online business. They've all been attracted online. Right now, this minute, have clients who own restaurants, who are CPAs, who run offline businesses. So my business coaching practice goes to both offline businesses and online businesses.
Terry, I also work with offline businesses. I don't know if many people know that. I kind of developed a little specialty of working with attorneys. I didn't do it on purpose, but they started to gravitate towards me, and I think maybe it's because of my professional degree or something like that. But people shouldn't make the mistake of thinking that the principles that we're going to teach them apply only to small entrepreneurs that want to make money online. These are real business principles that work with real businesses.
And what's been interesting is, especially over the last couple of years, my business coaching practice has morphed a little bit in the fact that about half of my one-on-one clients right now, right about half of them are specifically business coaches to their own niche. So in other words, I'm a coach of other coaches, and that's what got me excited about this subject. As I mentioned a little earlier on, these business coaches are the ones that I've seen go from 0 to six-figure incomes the fastest, becoming a business coach to their niche, such as niches such as chiropractic or accountants or other industries such as that.
Do you think that if somebody wants to do that, do you have to be a chiropractor if you want to coach other chiropractors to business success?
No, you definitely do not have to, because it's not your job as the business coach to be a specialty at the technical side of it. The technical side is there, so you don't have to know anything about chiropractic. What you need to know, what you need to get very specialized and skilled in, is you need to get skilled in the systems to build their practice. So you don't know anything about treating patients, because you can easily ask them what patients they can help best, because you'll want to discover what patients they can help best to help them do their marketing. But you understand marketing, that's something that they don't specialize in. Here's something that people don't realize. Someone like a chiropractor, they will go to school for years to learn all the technical details, to learn everything that they do. All right? But very rarely, almost never, we'll just put that in, almost never are they taught anything about the business of running the business. And especially they're not taught anything about the marketing of their practice. So there's a huge gap in their education. And that's where you come in on the business coaching side, is you fill in that gap with systems that can be used to build their practice.
What a lot of people don't understand about the professions is that it's not that long ago that advertising was prohibited and frowned upon. Just as I was getting my PhD in clinical psychology, professional associations and boards changed their position and said, well, okay, we guess we'll let you do a little advertising. But up until then, the thought was that if you were to advertise as a profession, then you'd wind up making claims that really didn't reflect your abilities, and you don't want people to come to you because you're a good advertiser. People should come to you because you get really good results and they refer their friends. That type of thinking, even though it doesn't really legally, formally permeate most professions anymore, it still really does permeate the education in those professions, and it leaves these professionals with a real gap in how to actually build their business. And what other people don't realize is that it can be attractive to bring someone else in who has a different tool or a different perspective on business. Chiropractors, when they get together, there's a set of things that they talk about, right? You know, like how to crack someone's back. Well, they never talk about it like that.
I wouldn't use that phraseology.
I wouldn't use that phrase with a chiropractor, but you know what I mean. They're showing you the latest techniques, and they kind of gravitate towards talking about what excites them. And they really want someone to come in who has an outside perspective. Even when I coached large businesses, I was very frightened when I went to coach, more of a consultant for large businesses, when I went to do consulting for large businesses, like AT&T or Lipton or Novartis or something like that, because I never went to business school. As a matter of fact, I got a D when I was in high school in the one and only business class that I'd ever taken back then. I was really frightened that they would see right through me and I didn't have anything to offer, but they really liked that I was a psychologist. They really liked that I had this different perspective and I could tell them what the clients might want to buy. And the fact that you don't have the background can actually be an asset, and most people don't think of it like that.
And for example, you mentioned earlier that you have lawyers as coaching clients, and you're definitely not in the legal profession.
I'm really not.
And nor do you want to be. The same thing, I have, as I mentioned, a restaurant owner as a client, yet you don't want me cooking your restaurant meal. I'm not going to be doing that. So the fact is you don't have to be an expert on their business. What you want to become is the exact same thing we started with. You have to be passionate about business and marketing in general, and you have to be curious about their business. If you have those qualifications, then you simply need to plug into systems that you're able to go in and multiply their profits and help them generate more time off, because that's something we didn't mention here with the ROI, is a lot of business owners, you're going to find not only do they want to earn more money, which is obvious, they want to attract more clients just like you do. That's the first priority in most cases. They also, in many cases, they want to get back a better balance to their life. They want more time off. You're going to find that most entrepreneurs are just totally overwhelmed today. And there's a lot of reasons for that overwhelm. And when you speak to entrepreneurs, you're going to get to know, for the overwhelm, it could be the employees that are overwhelming. It could be all the different things going on in their life, all the different marketing strategies that are overwhelming. This is offline marketing, such as newspapers and yellow pages and direct mail that's consuming their time. It's online marketing strategies like social media, which they understand very little about in the offline world. They're just overwhelmed. Plus, besides the marketing, they have to take care of the staffing. On their mind, besides staffing, they got to deal with the financials. They've got to deal with delivering their products or services. And it's just an overwhelming experience. And another thing that people don't realize is a lot of entrepreneurs feel alone where they're at in starting a business. I mean, if you've started your own business online, you've probably felt that. And sometimes you feel alone because your employees don't understand what you're going through. In many cases, it's almost like you're separated in a lot of cases from other business owners. Even if you network or you generate business from networking groups, it still seems like you're separated for it. And you need someone to come in and give you a voice from the outside.
That's absolutely true. And that voice doesn't always, it's really surprising to me. You know, it's impossible to be correct 100% of the time. Like, Terry, you and I both have a lot of experience, and I don't mean for us to sound arrogant because we've fallen on our butts a couple of times too, right? We have a much better batting average than the average person that would ask about their business, or even than the average business coach that ask about their business. But we've fallen on our butts also, and I think that because of the strength of the relationship and because the clients recognize that they do need that relationship because they are so alone otherwise, that they forgive you for that and they keep going.
This is a mistake that some business coaches make, so just take this as good advice coming out, is don't present yourself as having all the answers. You have advice and systems that help them grow, but you don't have all the answers. What you really need to be thinking about, and this does line up with other types of coaching, as a business coach, you're the one with the right questions. And we're going to give you some questions on this video and on a couple other videos that we're going to prepare for you, some of the questions that you want to ask. But as a business coach, it's your job to have the right questions, because if you have the right questions, you're going to help them find the right answer. Business coaching is not about stepping into their business and doing it for them. It's about coming in as a partner, as a helper, asking them the right questions and doing it together. Just to make mention, a couple of stats that are going on in the business coaching field is you can see that the Kauffman Foundation recently reported there's 11.5 million entrepreneurs in the U.S. alone, with 543,000 new U.S. companies every single month. That's 543,000 new companies in the U.S. only every month. That is a lot of new companies and new entrepreneurs started in business every month.
A lot of people who are jumping out there with not enough planning, not enough ideas, too many opportunities, too much competition, too many regulations, not enough systems, not enough personal support, customers, focus, free time, not enough profits. A lot of people jumping out there that need help.
They definitely are. On the business coaching side, the IBIS World Business Coaching Market Research Report, they said there's a total of 67,310 business and executive coaches together. Okay, so when they did the report, they lumped in both business coaches and executive coaches together. The difference being that when we're using the term business coach, a lot of times we're talking about business coaching specifically for an entrepreneur that's in charge or someone on the team that's in charge. Executive coaches is often for a larger company that you go in and you coach the entire executive team. And both are great businesses. When they did this report, they lumped them together, and lumped together, there's 67,310 total business and executive coaches.
It's hard to find statistics specifically for business coaches. I've done some research on that as well. It's hard to find that.
And so even if we took that entire number, though, that there's a total of 67,000, both business and executive coaches, and even if they split that half-half, you still have to remember that there's 543,000 brand new businesses coming in every month. And a lot of people get worried about the competition, saying, well, how will I separate myself? How will I stand up from the competition? You're going to find out that when you choose a niche to go after, if you choose a specialty to go after, it's not going to be that hard to separate yourself to that portion of the market. And there's so many new people starting a business. They're so overwhelmed. There's so many people begging for help. Just as Glenn and I talked about, the fact that our waiting lists are full for years of people trying to get into our coaching program. You can establish a position like that in your specialty, in your field.
And we're not just talking about the professions. There are as many businesses as there are, I think, things under the sun. You could be a radon mitigation business coach. Every time that someone buys a house, they have to check it for a deadly invisible gas called radon. And when they find some, there are these companies that come in and do mitigation. And it's a fairly lucrative business because it's usually a several $1,000 job to mitigate the radon if it's a problem. And most of these radon mitigation companies have no idea what they're doing in terms of getting clients and supervising their employees and putting systems together and everything like that. And so if you study that market a bit and position yourself as the radon mitigation business coach, then you wouldn't have too many competitors, I can tell you that.
Another thing to think about this is you don't have to limit yourself to just one niche in business coaching. As both Glenn and I have mentioned, we have clients in multiple different types of businesses. When you do niching for a business coach, that just means that you specialize. You go after the specific audience. You advertise to the specific audience to attract clients. But you're going to find that your clients refer people, the other business owners they know, because most entrepreneurs are going to have a couple of their friends who are entrepreneurs, and you end up getting referrals to other types of businesses because the essential principles for growing a business and marketing will stand true through all the different types of businesses that you contact. So if you can help a business in this field grow, you're going to be able to help a business in another grow because, again, you're not an expert on the technical side of their business. You're an expert on the business growth side.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit more about the systems that we can give you. And with the systems, we're going to talk on this video a little bit about one that you might have heard from us before, which is the Golden Glove. But I want you to think about it from a different standpoint as we talk about it today. And that standpoint is, this is the system that I originally developed when I was going to a lot of different workshops. At these workshops, they would bring someone up for a hot seat. Okay, and that means is they'd have someone coming up, sit up on the chair. They'd tell us about their business. And over the next 15, 20, 30 minutes or more, we would help them improve their business as fast as possible. And when you get in an environment like that, you have 30 minutes to improve someone's business. Okay, you can ask some questions, but you really need to get in and improve their business. You have to come up with something that works quickly. And so, again, if you're on our list, you've probably heard Glenn or I talk about the Golden Glove, but I want you to see it from a different light. I originally started putting it together, and then we improved on it when Glenn came in and we worked through his research system, applied the research system to it, and we've seen how we could improve on the system. But I originally developed it to help people get results quickly during those seminars, basically to the point where I told people I could help them improve the profits of their business in 15 minutes or less. And that became a very strong promise, improve the profits of your business in 15 minutes or less.
And Terry, I would say that the thing that I put into that structure, was everything that Sharon and I learned about marketing and branding in a large company. When I saw this structure, I realized it could be boiled down to these 5 elements. And so all of a sudden it crystallized my thinking. It became a way that you could immediately zero in on where the biggest, fastest wins would be in a client's marketing.
And it definitely is. And here's what I want you to think about it here. Now, you might be concerned about whether you can establish the credibility with a client quickly. That may be a thing that you're thinking right now. It would be great to be a business coach, but I'm not like Glenn or Terry. I don't have years of experience in business coaching. I don't have all the credibility from being known all over the internet like they do. But here's how you establish credibility in 15 minutes. Speak to an entrepreneur, start asking them a few questions, show them a way they can increase their profits immediately without asking for any money up front. And using this system or one of the other ones that we'll talk about, we're going to give you at least 1 or 2 more on some other videos that we'll have coming up. But use this system to increase their profits immediately, and it's not going to be very hard to get them as a client. It just becomes almost like the obvious next step. Here's how you're going to increase your business by 20, 30%. Would you like more help?
Exactly. The nice thing about going into a business through the advertising angle is that you don't really need to ask permission for a business to evaluate their advertising, because their advertising is out there in public. So you can go look at their advertising, you can analyze their advertising, and now you have something intelligent to say to them when you approach them. And who doesn't want to know more when you show them a couple of things like that? If you send them a picture of their ad, or you write them a note and point out a couple of things, who doesn't want to know more? So
it becomes very quick, and this is one of the reasons you want to get it down to a very quick system like we've boiled it down here, is let's say it's not as easy to just contact somebody who doesn't know you and say, here's what's wrong with your advertising. A much better approach, let's say that you're at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, or you're just meeting and talking to another entrepreneur over lunch, okay? Pull out your phone, ask them for their website address, pull it up on your phone, and you can analyze it in the next 10 minutes and tell them a way to improve their profits that quickly, that easily, right in front of them. And you do that for them right now, and it becomes very easy to move to the next step. So let's talk a little about the Golden Glove for those who don't know it, and that is a simple 5-step system.
5-step system that we want you to memorize like the back of your hand.
Exactly. And step 1 to it is the desperate problem. Is their product or service solving a desperate problem for the audience? And are they calling out that specific audience? So there's 2 parts to the desperate problem. They have to call out a specific audience, and they have to be calling out to a desperate problem that audience is feeling.
Terry, sometimes I have entrepreneurs that object to the word desperate here. And I know that in previous recordings you and I have done, we've talked about the idea that it's a desperate problem for the consumer. And some people will look at a situation like, well, I sell nails at a hardware store. How desperate is that? Or I sell guitar lessons. What's going to happen if the person doesn't get the right guitar lessons? Could you say something about that? And then I want to say something about that as well.
The hardware store is a real easy one for a desperate problem, because it's a pretty desperate problem if their wall's falling down. What do they need the nails for? You don't really sell nails at the hardware store. You sell whatever it is that the nail's going to do for them, which might be to hold the wall together. It might be to put something back together that's broken. It is whatever that they want to accomplish. That is a desperate need right now, is they need the nail.
You're selling the ability for them to feel strong and secure.
You are. For the guitar lessons, that doesn't sound as much like a desperate problem. But if I desire to play the guitar, if that's a passion of mine that I want to stand up in front of a crowd and play, or I just want to play for my family and friends, I will do everything I can to practice. I've studied online videos. I've went to lessons, but I don't seem to be getting it. Why can't I get this? The reason you don't feel this as the person selling the lessons is because it's not a problem for you anymore. You're not the one spending money on it. When we say a desperate problem, this means it's a problem that's in the front of their mind that they're willing to spend money to solve.
And the other thing I would say about it is you could actually conceptualize marketing as a process of making people desperate for what you have to offer. So if for any reason they're not feeling desperate, You need to figure out how to make them feel desperate for what you have to offer. So that's why we call it a desperate problem.
It definitely is. Well, first of all, maybe it's you need to focus on a different audience that it's already a desperate problem for. And then once you find the audience, how do you position it for this audience? That's all part of the desperate problem. And what you're going to find is when you look at someone else's ad, when you're looking at it, do you spot the audience that's being sold to, or are they trying to sell to everyone? That's going to be one of the first mistakes you see. They're trying to sell to everyone. They're not calling out a problem. They're not calling out the pain. They're not calling out the issues that they're going to help solve. First thing you look for.
It's amazing how many businesses do that.
Okay, and then the second issue, the next part of the Golden Glove, is a unique promise that stands out for the competition. Is the unique promise something that stands out? And this is a term I'm going to bring over to you, continue on. Is it a unique point of difference?
Well, right. It's not enough to be unique, and as we go further in these videos, we're going to give you a little preview, maybe upstage ourselves a little bit. We're going to tell you that the unique promise, the unique selling proposition is actually dead, but you do need to understand what it is first before we can tell you why it's dead and what's even better than that. When I would do brand research, we would always go in and talk to the market, lay out all the features and benefits in the market. Why do you want to buy this bottle of Poland Spring water, and what does that do for you? It would turn out that there were a set of benefits that every bottled water had to have in order to be in the running for a consumer behavior. So they all had to have some level of purity, and they had to have a clear label. You couldn't sell bottled water, for example, in something that looked like a Coke can, like a Coca-Cola can. That just didn't work. And we call those types of things price of entry benefits, because if you go out there and you try to sell spring water in a Coca-Cola can, you've really missed the market entirely, and people are just going to dismiss you. However, the fact that you sold spring water in a clear bottle, that you have the price of entry benefits, that doesn't mean the consumer is going to choose you. What you really need to find is a point of difference. Maybe your water comes from a unique aquifer in the Fiji Islands. Maybe it's got a unique alkaline balance that nobody else can regulate. Maybe there have been a set of scientific studies that prove that this water does more to flush out toxins through your kidneys than any other bottled water, something like that. You need something that really distinguishes you from the competition in a gap in the marketplace so that you're solving a problem that nobody else is really solving to the degree that you can solve it. And sometimes that could be just that you have more proof than anybody in the market. Sometimes it could be you have a stronger guarantee than anybody in the market. But you need some point of difference if you want people to pay attention to you.
You're going to spot that when looking at somebody else's advertising. Is there anything that makes you say, well, this is different? This is something I haven't heard before. What you don't want to say when you're looking at their ad is you don't want to have the ad, well, I heard that before. Go into the yellow pages, and you're going to see that for most of people's advertising. We'll go into, look at the lawyers. If you're picking on the lawyers. Sorry, lawyers. But you go through the advertising, you're going to see they almost all look the same. All the ads are making the same promises, talking about the same thing. And what we're talking about here, is there anything that stands out as different?
Lawyers in particular, most professions advertise to their colleagues instead of advertising to the consumer. It's really kind of funny. You look in the yellow pages, which is not as popular anymore, but it still exists. If you look in the yellow pages and you look at any profession, you'll see that most of them are kind of like flaunting their credentials and trying to make themselves look good to their peers, but they're not really talking about the benefits of the consumer. And so there's such an opportunity to help them with their advertising if they go straight out and advertise directly to the consumer. Terry, if you want, I'll show people the yellow page ad that I used way back in 1996 to build my practice, which was phenomenally successful. I know I was doing at least 2-3 times as well as the clinics that were advertising, because I used to work at some of the clinics and I knew what kind of calls they were getting. So it's just so easy to kind of walk in and say, well, what does the consumer want as opposed to your peers? And what if you weren't so worried about what your peers thought and you're more worried about what the prospect wanted?
So that's what we're looking for here in the second part. The third part is overwhelming proof. Okay, so we've covered the problem. We've made a unique promise. Are we backing up that promise with overwhelming proof? And the question here that you ask yourself is, why should the readers believe the solution is for real, that you're a credible person to do business with, and that it will personally work for them? To see, okay, are they covering a problem that they can solve? Are they giving us a unique promise? Do they also provide proof in their advertising that makes it stand out and says, okay, this is a credible person. They can help me accomplish whatever it is that they promised to me?
And the better that you identify the problem, the more desperate people feel about the problem, and the more that you've hit the nail on the head with the exact promise that they want, the more proof that you need, because otherwise it's going to sound too good to be true. When you have the right problem and the right promise, it's actually like standing up in a crowd and saying, I am the best person here to solve this particular problem for you. I can solve it better than anybody else here. And what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh yeah, prove it.
The types of proof that most people think about immediately is testimonials. And obviously, testimonials are a good form of proof, but they're not the only form of proof. Another form of proof that works extremely well are demonstrations. You've seen demonstrations in person that someone will do, okay, here's how this product works in person. You can do the same thing online with videos, which is a video demonstration of a product showing how the product works for someone. Or even like in the publishing field, I have clients that we show a video demonstration around the inside of a membership site showing you all the content you're going to get immediately when you join the membership site, because that's a demonstration of what you get on the inside. In addition to demonstrations, there are case studies that you can give, which is basically a story about how the product works with specifics about what the product did for someone. You could do your own origin story, as we call it. How did you get started in this business? Why was this business important to you? What problems did you have before you started this business? How did you solve this business? What made this stand out to you? Why are you passionate about this? For example, I've been to a chiropractor who he had a great origin story as a chiropractor. His origin story was the fact that he was going to med school. And while he was going to med school, he loved playing basketball, and he got injured playing basketball. It was an injury to his chin. I forget the exact condition. He had TMJ or something along with it, but he had his whole origin story written out for his ad. And he went to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor was the one who was able to get rid of the pain for him and to get him back to normal. And that's where he changed his profession to going into. That was the perfect origin story for him to be telling on his advertising as a form of proof.
The origin story makes people feel like you're an entrepreneur on a mission, and you're not just someone with a cash register. It really removes the paranoia and suspiciousness of the consumer, and it kind of takes down their sales defenses when they realize, oh, this guy really wants to help me. This girl, she really wants to help me.
I want to give you a good one as a business coach, since we're talking to people who either are business coaches or you want to be a business coach. One of the best forms of proof you can do, because as we talked about this, you might say, well, if I'm going to be a business coach, I don't have testimonials yet. I don't have case studies to give yet. Well, here's, again, the best form of proof you can give. It's an actual demonstration in their business. You do what we just said. You take the golden glove, you use it on their business, you show them how they can improve it. So you show them that you can ask the right questions, you can find the problems to improve their business. And at the same time, the way that you best offer your services is through either a free or a paid strategy session. One or the other. A free session means that we take the first strategy session. It's totally free. I'm going to go through and help you set up your strategy, find some points that you have leveraged to increase your profits quickly, and how you're going to grow out of this. A paid strategy session is very similar. It's just you take a small upfront payment, such as $75 or $100 for the first strategy session. You do that to limit the number of leads because you have too many leads coming in when you decide to do that, and you do the same strategy session. All you really do on the strategy session, there's a lot more to it, and we'll talk about that at some other point. But what you're doing in the strategy session is you're simply taking them through, coming up with a system they need to follow to grow their business. And you pretty much come to the end of putting the system together and ask them if they would like your help to implement this system into their business. And that is the strongest form of proof that you can start off with in a business coaching practice.
That's absolutely true, because what would I rather know? Would I rather know that someone else thinks you're good, or would I rather see that you're good specifically for my business right now?
Exactly. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is the irresistible offer. The irresistible offer means that are you giving an offer that's worth considerably more than the asking price? And here's another good way to rephrase the question. Would it be more painful to ignore your offer than to exchange their money for it? How do you make the offer an amazing value for the price? It doesn't matter whether you're selling a low-cost product or a premium product. It needs to be a good value for the customer and risk-free on their mind of what they're going to get out of this for the results.
When I've really put together a good offer, I wind up with this feeling like, gee, I wish I could buy this for myself. I would be crazy not to buy this.
And parts of coming up with a good offer, it might mean that it's a special, a discount, a trial type offer. For example, a lot of times with offers with clients I've went into, we'll come in and we'll do a trial offer where someone can try out the product for $1, paying the rest of it in 30 days. Or they can pay shipping up front, get the product to try it out for 30 days, pay later. It could be that we change over, we do installments for the customers as part of the offer. So there's a lot of way that you can do terms as the offer. In other situations, we'll add in a bonus. This is a bonus that they can add in with the product that's worth what they're selling. It's a special deal that we're making because of this extra bonus. And now here's the mistake. You'll see this mistake made a lot online. And it's sometimes made in other offline businesses as well. But that is giving a gift that's totally irrelevant to the end result that the customer wants. Okay, we're solving a problem for the customer. We're making a promise. Whatever bonus you're offering needs to be related to the problem or the promise or something very close to it. You're helping them get the end results. Now, it also, part of the offer could be your guarantee. And a guarantee actually mixes into both proof and offer, because can you make a strong guarantee that overcomes the prejudices people might have against your industry? Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're a home service business, such as air conditioning repair business. I live in Florida. That's a very important business here in Florida, air conditioning repair businesses. And everyone is frustrated pretty much with the fact that repair people don't show up on time. If you could fulfill on the guarantee, what if you came up with a guarantee that your people would be on time? Or if they weren't on time, we'll say within 10 minutes it was free. Or something similar. You could come up with a certain amount of time that it reduces the payment. But there's a lot of ways you could work out the guarantee to solve a problem people see with your industry.
This is true. Talking about the interrelationship between the guarantee and the proof is that the purpose of the proof is to remove the risk. And because, the risk is that maybe you're not as good as you say you are, and I'm going to lose my money and time for having worked with you. But if you have a really strong guarantee, then that risk doesn't exist in the first place. And so sometimes if you don't have enough proof, you start out with a much stronger guarantee, and that really improves people's advertising.
So number 5 is a reason to act now. Why should someone take action now? Basically, we have so much advertising in our lives. We have so many decisions we have to make that it's just easier to put it off. And because we have so many decisions to make, the moment a client puts it off, the likelihood is they will not make a decision at all on the subject, losing out on whatever benefits your business could have provided them with. So you need to have a reason for them to take action now. What would motivate people to get up out of the bed to make sure they don't miss out on this offer? Does your offer, the offer that you're reviewing, have something like that? And basically, what you want to think about here is how the business can offer ethical deadlines. With retail almost always has a special for every holiday. That's a pretty normal response. Here in the U.S., Black Friday. That's a given reason that a lot of retailers run specials. Any holiday becomes that. A company's anniversary becomes a reason for a deadline for a special. What we're talking about is a discount you only get for a limited time. And when I talk about deadlines, I mean that we actually honor this deadline, which means if we say that the price is a discounted price, it's 30% off until June the 17th, and that's what we honor on our special.
Yes, if you don't honor your deadlines, if you don't enforce them, then they're not going to work the next time, so that's absolutely true. There's something new that I've discovered about reasons to act now and deadlines and scarcity in general that I don't think I ever talked about with you. Would it be all right if I talked about it for a second?
Yes, let's hear about it.
It's one thing to prey on the prospect's fear of loss. I think it's necessary to do that because if what you have is really better for them, and they would be better off if they bought than they didn't buy, and you have to genuinely answer that for yourself, because if you don't believe that, then you're not going to be able to sell. If that's true, then you need to kind of kick them off the fence and say, look, you can have this, but you can only have it now. I find that sales are double or triple when you have a good reason to act now, as opposed to say, well, you can come back whenever you want and get this. But the thing that I've discovered is that if the reason why for the reason to act now is a benefit to the consumer in and of itself, that seems to have even more of an impact. So for example, the reason to act now that I have in my coaching academy is that personal attention is really important to me. This is a life coaching academy where they really have to practice every day with each other, and they need a lot of supervision, like a lot of personal supervision. We tell them that we have supervision 7 days a week, and we can't let these classes get too big because otherwise you won't have the personal attention that you need, and we have to make sure that our coaches have the necessary training to take good personal care of you. And for that reason, we can't let the student-teacher ratio get out of hand. And so we can only take 37 people this month. And we have to reserve the right to close down even before we have 37 people if it seems like the student-teacher ratio is becoming unmanageable, because otherwise we can't give you the personal interaction that you're here for in the first place. And so what I'm saying is, if you link the reason to act now to something that's actually good for them, it's not just a believable reason, but it's a believable reason that's good for them. I'm thinking that has a stronger impact than I'd known about in the past. So I thought that would be interesting.
That's definitely true. But in case you don't have that for the business, just understand that any ethical deadline and reason to act now will improve sales. The nice thing about being a business coach is you have a built-in one that lines up with what Glenn just shared with you perfectly. As a business coach, you have a limited number of clients you can take and give your full effort to, which means at all times you're able to say that you're only able to take a limited number of clients. And that is even true when you're running a group coaching program, because with a group coaching program, to actually have interaction with all the clients, and that's what you really want with a high-end group coaching program, is you interaction with the clients. You can really only handle 20 to 30 people at max in a group coaching program like that. So whether you're doing one-on-one coaching or you're leveraging your time and income through a group program, you're still limited to the number of clients you can take, which gives you a built-in scarcity and a reason to act now at all times as a business coach.
The other thing that I've learned in researching the reason to act now is that everybody quotes Cialdini's Psychology of Influence, who kind of compiled all the scientific studies on persuasion, but they don't know that he did some later research on scarcity, and what he found was that if the scarce information was in fact scarce itself, that it had, I think, almost double the impact. Not only can I only take 2 more business coaching clients this month, but it's only this group of X many people that knows that I'm making this information available in the first place. When that's happened, people feel kind of special, like they've got an opportunity to seize this scarce opportunity. They've got a unique opportunity to seize this scarce opportunity, and they want to take advantage of that. So that's kind of another interesting aspect of scarcity that I hadn't heard talked about before. But you don't need all those advanced elements of scarcity. You just need to give them a reason to act now, and most businesses won't even be doing that.
So all you're looking for is the business given a reason to act now? If not, how can you ethically add a reason to act now to the business? So those are the 5 points of the Golden Glove you're going to look for when you review someone's site, someone's ad, or any of their marketing pieces. You're looking for a desperate problem. You're looking for a unique promise. You're looking for overwhelming proof. You're looking for an irresistible offer, and you're looking for a reason to act now. Just knowing this one system, and we have multiple other systems that we use like this in our business coaching practice, but just using this one system, you can go into a client and the next 10 to 15 minutes, give them a good review and a way to immediately increase the profits in their business following this system.
So you want to wrap it up for me, Terry?
Yes. I want you to actually take this out and practice it. Either review one of your own marketing pieces, if you're already in business, or I want you to find an entrepreneur, even if you're not ready to sell yourself as a business coach, but I want you to find an entrepreneur and do this system, use this system on their website, on one of their marketing pieces, on one of their ads, and come back to it. Hey, I say 10, 15 minutes. The first time you do it, it might take you a little bit longer to use it. I always found that when I was teaching this system in front of a live audience and teaching them, okay, we're going to go over this person, I would do the first couple of websites with the system, but after that, the audience could do the rest of the people. They could actually go through and follow the system. So it might take you longer the first time you do it, but you do a couple of these, you're going to get very comfortable. I want you to go out. I want you to actually use it and see how easy it is to spot the problems that you can help improve. And then we're going to put another video together for you here in a few days that's going to show you how to attract dream clients that make coaching easy, lucrative, and fun. You're going to find that in coaching, a lot of the excitement and the fun in this business, along with the income from this business, comes from attracting the right clients. We're going to talk about how you attract those right clients.